You ready?
We are ready.
Good evening and welcome to the Maplewood Economic Development Authority meeting. Tonight is Monday, July 13th, 2026. City Clerk Sint, would you do the roll call for us, please?
Commissioner Juniman?
Here.
Commissioner Lee?
Present.
Commissioner Villavicencio?
Here.
Commissioner Cave?
Here.
President Abrams?
I'm here as well, thank you. Commissioners, would someone like to make a motion to approve our agenda for tonight?
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Moved by Commissioner Lee, seconded by Commissioner Juniman. The motion to approve our agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the minutes from our April 13th, 2026 Economic Development Authority meeting. Would someone like to make that motion?
I move approval.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by?
Second.
Cave. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We have a public hearing tonight concerning the business subsidy policy. But first, we'll have the staff report from Ms. Parr.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the EDA. As you, I'm sure, recall, the business subsidy policy has come before you previously. Tonight, we are asking you to hold the public hearing in relation to it. The language you previously discussed as a part of this here at the EDA, as you could tell from your packet, it's largely identical. The changes are subtle, and after talking with our attorney, it was recommended that the EDA and the City Council have their own business subsidy policies. They are largely at this point identical, with the exception of in name, obviously City Council versus EDA. In the future, if you wanted to tweak something or the council wanted to tweak something that's specific to something that they work with that maybe the other body does not, this would give flexibility and a lack of confusion. It would be less confusion at that point, I should say. So that's really the point of it. It's pretty straightforward. And we also need to hold a public hearing. The whole point of this, obviously, is to make sure our language is consistent with Minnesota state law requirements, so that we want to apply for something. We have set ourselves up in the best position to be able to get that taken care of. We already have it all in place to do it, and this is just another piece of that toolbox that we talk a lot about. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I can walk through anything you want, but I know you've talked about it as a council, you've talked about it as an EDA, but I'm here to answer questions, and with that, we recommend you open the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Parr? All right, then, seeing no questions, I am going to open up the public hearing concerning the 2026 Maplewood Economic Development Authority Business Subsidy Policy. City Clerk Sint, is there anyone signed up to speak at the public hearing?
There is not.
All right. Would anyone like to speak? Seeing none, then I am going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, we have a motion. Would someone like to make that motion?
Approve the 2026 Maplewood Economic Development Authority Business Subsidy Policy.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman. The motion to approve the 2026 Maplewood Economic Development Authority Business Subsidy Policy. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We have no unfinished business. We have the 2027 EDA budget as on our agenda. Mr. Rube, this is your topic for tonight.
Thank you, Madam President and the Commissioners. Tonight we're discussing the EDA levy.
Microphone.
The EDA.
Microphone.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We're discussing the 2027 EDA budget. The EDA by law is required to request a budget to be included with the city's annual budget. So this is just the starting point for that discussion. Tonight it is just discussion. We are not taking any motions or actions or anything like that. Before you in the packet is a projected 10-year cash flow for the EDA fund. It also includes 2026 and 2025 actual figures for revenue and expenditures, and then the 2026 estimates. I'd like to point out that the under revenues council approved the first official EDA levy of $636,000. And staff is proposing to keep that without any changes going towards the future, so no changes with the tax levy. With grants and aids, we just put in an estimate of something that we might be able to receive, so we have something for additional grants and aids. And then we have LAHA funding, which is the local affordable housing aid. For 2025, it has the actual figures 26. We have our certified.
It's not picking you up.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, for 2026, we have the actual figure of $596,000 that we will receive from the LAHA funding. And then we just put an inflator about 2% going forward there. Those funds have to be used within a few years of receiving it, so that ends up being reflected down in the expenditures. When we take a look at the expenditures under wages and benefits, we're proposing to keep the budget of $200,000 there. And then there's fees for services, proposing $150,000 for that. Interfund loan, that loan has to do with a loan that the sewer fund provided to the EDA to purchase Moose Lodge, and that will be paid off over the next several years. If I recall properly, it's 2038 that will be paid off. If that property is sold before then, we'd pay off that debt completely at that point. And then there's the LAHA projects. That's where it's tied back to the revenues. So there's a little bit of delay. We can spend it quicker than what we have budgeted here, but we just put it out there so we know that we have to spend it by that time. With that, there's not a whole lot else with the budget that's being proposed. Most of it, as I mentioned, is staying the same. The biggest thing is just that EDA levy that we set up last year for 2026 payable, $636,000 will be remaining the same.
Councilmember, or Commissioner Cave.
Just one question. The $1 million in the TIF pooling for 2026, can you explain that?
I might hand it over to Ms. Parr or Mr. Sable on that, but that is a placeholder. That funding has not been formally transferred over. But Mr. Sable, did you want?
Certainly, this is related to there was the 3M TIF district that we had surplus money, and we asked for special legislation to move that money out of that geography and make it available to the north end property. So I can't remember precisely the geographic boundaries, but it's largely Highway 61 to the west, White Bear Avenue to the east, Highway 36 to the north, and I believe they said both sides of Beam Avenue. So anything within that area, physical area around the north end, it would encompass the mall, Birch Run Station, all the way down towards the hospital. And so it gives the city additional flexibility to do redevelopment in that area. So that we wanted to count that money as part of the EDA fund balance.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Parr.
Thank you. I would just add, I would concur with everything that was said there. I would just add, we've had a number of conversations about opportunities that may come up in the north end. We want to hold that money so we have something that we can contribute towards that future redevelopment, some leverage, so to speak, to help push it forward, and maybe use that as funds we can garner additional funds from other partners that may come in as well. So we're just hanging on at the moment, and if we could get more, that would be great, but for now, that's a great start.
Thank you. You know, it's wonderful to see, and I want to thank staff for all of their hard work. Just in looking at all of the different kinds of things that our EDA has been able to accomplish, it is very impressive. We have some traction, and it's really nice to see that. It's encouraging. It also helps that we are getting LAHA money, and that is something that is coming in on an annual basis. One of the things, and I'm glad that we're having this discussion, I'll just throw it out there, that, you know, we're looking at setting our levy for 2027. I was at a Regional Council of Mayors meeting today where we invited all of our superintendents, and I will tell you that the school district is going to have a levy ask, that is going to be on the ballot. And, we are looking at how we can be fiscally responsible while taking a look at the impact of our levy increases. And so it's, while, it says a 0% levy change for 2027, that doesn't mean, Mr. Rube, it was 600 and some thousand that we levied. EDA members, I suggest that we may want to revisit that as we have continued discussions about our budget. I would suggest that if in fact the school district is going to go for a levy, and, I talked with Christine today, Tucci Osario, but we didn't get into the details on what they may be asking for. We don't know what our levy is necessarily looking like, that this may be someplace where we have, a little bit of wiggle room, depending on what our numbers may look like. I'll just throw that out as a discussion point. I certainly don't want to slow down the movement and the traction that we've got with our EDA, but in terms of the impact that that's going to have on our homeowners, I think we need to look at this kind of from a big picture perspective, and this may be something that we may need to step it back a little bit, slow it down a little bit, depending on what other, what else are we looking at in terms of the county taxes, the school district's levy, our levy, and this may be a point where we can offer some relief to our homeowners on their property taxes. So just a thought, I just bring it up because, we do have some traction, and you hate to step back from that. But on the other hand, I think we have to be realistic, and I know that affordability and increasing taxes it's an issue, and we need to pay attention to that. So I just throw that out there, but we'll have more discussions on it. We don't have to take any action tonight. This is for discussion purposes only, so I will throw that out there, and I will continue to bring that up as something that we need to look at that in terms of the balance. Councilmember Lee, or Commissioner Lee, sorry.
Thank you. Quick question on the $1 million TIF funding from the 3M district. Is there a time frame or a limitation where we have to spend that by? Do they have that against the city at all?
Madam President, Commissioners, Commissioner Lee, the short answer is no. There's not a spend by date, and the contrast is with the local affordable housing aid, you have 4 years to spend it. So that's the contrast. But the $1 million is open.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other lights. Mr. Sable?
I just want to thank Director Parr and Director Rube for kind of pulling this together. This is, as we think about the kind of the future direction of the city, these types of projects help us, pay for things long term. And so then, and I will just note that we talk about the north end a lot. We often talk about the mall properties specific. If there's ever an opportunity to take an action or to support a redevelopment project, it's helpful to have some tools, and then we are accumulating tools. And I think the one thing I'll note is this spreadsheet has this red, yellow, green kind of coloration on the bottom. If you remember, our financial advisors from Ellers said, the good rule of thumb is to have $5 million in the bank, and this is sort of showing how we could potentially get there by 2033. And one of the things that I know the spreadsheet does, because I've seen Joe do it in real time, is if you lowered a number or raised a number, the coloration on the bottom changes and it shows that evolution. So as we talk about our own budget process with the city council, we're going to be able to do the same thing on that piece as well. So I think these move in real time, and it gives you more information and more tools. But I will just note that there have been phone calls from developers who are showing interest in the north end, and we are taking them and going on tours and showing them. So we do think there's a potential for some real momentum yet this year.
That's wonderful news. And again, I want to thank staff for getting us here. Just looking at this list, it is very encouraging, the kind of commitment that we have made to redevelopment, both with homes and also with our businesses, especially the North End. So thank you very much for that. And Commissioners, we are concluded with our agenda, and so I am going to, we are adjourned for our EDA meeting. And we will be back at 6 o'clock for our workshop. Stay tuned, everyone, because we've got a really fun workshop tonight. We're going to be swearing in some police officers and giving some life-saving awards.
It's going to be